Hello, it's Katy from What Katy Stitched here. Welcome to my YouTube channel. This is a video in a series of videos on sewing with binca. Binca is great for doing cross stitch on, makes nice projects like bookmarks, which I've got here, and I'm going to talk about two stitches today that you can use for projects like that: backstitch and cross stitch. In the previous video I spoke about choosing the type of needle, the type of thread, and threading your needle. I've already threaded my needle and put a knot in the end of it, and as I did in the previous video, I've caught a few stitches on the back so that my thread doesn't show on the front but is quite nicely secured. We're going to come up to the front, and to do back stitch I'm going to go straight across following this line here. I'm going to go down the next available hole, and then I'm going to come back up through the next free hole, and then this time I'm going to go backwards down through the hole that I went down before, and then I'm going to come back up through the next available hole and backwards again, and so on. It's quite a versatile stitch. You can use it as a border, you can write with it, or you could draw with it on your fabric. So that's back stitch. On the back it looks a little bit more loopy, but nice and neat on the front. So for cross stitch, we're going to come back up again to the front of our work, and again I'm going to go from left to right. If you're left-handed, of course you could go from right to left. Do whatever you feel most comfortable doing. So I'm going to come up through the first hole, which I'm going to call number 1, and then we're going to come down diagonally across, down at number 2, and then up number 3, and down at number 4. Doesn't matter which way round the threads go, so you could call this 1, come up at 1, down at 2, up at 3, and down at 4. So the top thread is going the opposite way this time. Doesn't matter which way round you do it. What's most important is that all of your threads are going the same way in your work. I tend to like to have my bottom thread going that way and my top thread going that way. I'm not quite sure why, it's just how I do it. Your crosses can have gaps in them, or they can run together like this. So to do that, we just come up, back up at 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we can do the same again. Put 1, 2, 3, 4. That's one way of doing a line of cross stitch. If you want to do one long line, another way of doing it to save time and thread is to do all of your underneath stitches in one go, and then do all of the on top stitches coming back the other way. So we'd come up from the back of the work to the front, and so I'm going to do all of my diagonal stitches in one go. So I think I'll do 4, so 4 diagonal stitches one way, the last one. So that's all of the underneath stitches done. And then we're going to come back across this way and do the stitches on top. It's quicker if you're doing a long line of stitching. And it doesn't have to be a line, it could do this in a square as well. But also it is more efficient on the thread. So when I turn it over, you'll see the back is a little bit neater. So you do use slightly less thread. So you've done your stitching, you come to the end of the thread, your thread is getting a little bit short or you want to change colour. How do you finish your thread off? Do the same as we did at the start. So if we flip the work over, what I like to do is just go through underneath all our the stitches that you've just done. So I'm not going through the binca, I'm just running my thread between the fabric, the binca fabric, and my thread, and then pull through gently. Don't pull too tight. And then snip the tail. So, running stitch and cross stitch, two different ways. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you again soon.